And now we continue with another model, the model of Turkey. And in this case, we have the presentation of Professor Dogan Bulut from the Melissa University, that we will also give another example, another big country, a lot of universities, but anyway, I give the floor to Professor Bulut.
Well, thank you, and I would like to thank Campus Mare Nostrum and Universidad de Murcia for this invitation. And I have to say that since I arrived last night, I have myself personally learned a lot from different systems in different countries and in different regions, and thank you for the opportunity. Well, I will just try to draw a very general picture of Turkish higher education system in my 15-minute talk. And I think this general picture includes, the components of the higher education system, initially at the beginning, in a country. So, for example, in Turkey, we have two upper bodies of higher education. One is called Higher Education Council, and the other one is called the Inter-University Board. And Higher Education Council is a fully autonomous corporate public institution, and whose chair is appointed by the president of the country, and has 20 members appointed by different organizations in the country. And these different organizations in the past included also military. For example, the Turkish military, I don't know what it had got to do with the Higher Education Council, but they also had like 2 seats in the past, but recently that has changed, and so for example, the Turkish military does not have representatives in the Higher Education Council anymore, so which I think is a good change. And the Inter-University Board is includes the rectors from all universities and one selected member from each university. They also have some sort of like decision-making power, especially in terms of academic promotions. And if you just look at the figure here, you can see that the Council of Higher Education is directly dependent, reports to the president, but at the same time has to work in connection with the Ministry of Education, which is the political side, we can say. It means that the budget comes through the Ministry of Education. And then, just similar to many other countries, there's the inter-universities and the rector, and then the Senate and the administrative board, and then the faculties, 2-year vocational schools, 4-year schools, and Institute for Graduate Studies under universities. So, in Turkey, we have, when we look at their establishment, we have 3 different kinds of higher education institutions. They are state universities and foundation universities and 2-year foundation vocational schools. So when we say foundation universities, they are in fact private but non-profit. So they have to have a non-profit perspective. And well, in terms of their establishments, the universities are established by law, and which means that they have to go through the parliament, and then the faculties and graduate schools through the cabinet, the cabinet of ministers, and the 2-year vocational schools with the approval of the Higher Education Council. Well, when we look at the administration, for example, the appointment of the higher administrative positions, for example, the rectors at state universities are appointed through some sort of like an election, but what happens is that at least there have to be 6 candidates in an election, and then the results are sent to the Higher Education Council, and Higher Education Council selects 3 of the 6 candidates and sends those 3 to the president, and the president appoints one of these 3 candidates, which means that sometimes it is possible that, for example, one person, the one at the top may get 250 votes, and the one at the bottom may get 3 votes, for example. We may end up having the one with 3 votes as the rector of a university. And so it means that it looks like an election, but it's not a true, like a democratic election. Well, looking at the universities, the number of universities in Turkey, we had the first university in 1933. It was like one state university. And then 1984, this is right after the military coup. In fact, we had 1 foundation and 26 state universities, and in total there were 28 universities. In 2003, 24 foundation and 53 state universities, in total 77. And in 2014, we have 69 foundation and 109 state universities. So in total, 178 universities. And so it means that 101 universities have been established during the last 10 years. So which is more than the number of universities we had until 2003. Well, basically the European system of the higher education programs, like the graduate schools and the faculties, like bachelor's and the 4-year schools, 2-year schools and medical specialty programs, which are considered to be equivalent to the PhD at higher education. Well, admission for national students, there's like a 2-stage central exam, and everybody has to go through this exam. And for the international students, which I think is really important, until 2010, there was again a central national international student exam. It means that it was in Turkish, and so those only who could speak Turkish could take the exam. But after 2010, they decided not to have this exam anymore, and the students are able to directly apply to the higher education institutions. For example, as somebody from Spain can directly apply to 20 different universities in Turkey in person and go with their criteria. And well, these are the statistics I have for 2010, but this I think it's still a good reflection of what we have in terms of the ratio. For example, with the state universities, they have the 93%, almost 94% of student population. Foundation universities, even though they are big in number, they only have 5% because most of them are new and don't have, I mean, the range will go from the student population from 500 to about 25,000 with the private or foundation universities. And in total, in 2010, the number of university students was 3,529,334, and this keeps increasing. Well, if you just look at financing and funding with the universities, state universities have 4 major financial sources, like coming from the state, and the income from the services provided by the university, and income from student tuitions, which is very small now, and research funds. And with the foundation universities, they do not get any financial aid from the state. They only get tax exemption and maybe like through some projects. Well, I'll just, so if you just look at, for example, one comparison between state and foundation universities, for example, from the academic faculty member's perspective, once you become a faculty member at a state university, well, unless you really want to do it yourself, you don't really have to do much. So which means that there's no performance review for contract renewal or pay raise yet. Well, there are some, there are some attempts to change this, but it is still not there. But when you look at foundation universities, for example, depending on your contract, like annual or 2-year or 3-year contract, there's performance review for contract renewal, and even your pay raise might change. Well, internationalization is really becoming strong in Turkey, and since especially 2010, I can say, and in 2013-14 academic year, there were 85,000 quotas announced for international students. I mean, which I think is really a big number. And, well, Bologna process, Turkey signed the Bologna Declaration in 2001, and in fact, the Higher Education Council had a deadline for all the universities in Turkey to complete the DS, the Diploma Supplement, and ECTS course catalog, and some were able to comply and some still were not able to comply. And in fact, this shows how hard Turkey is working with the Bologna process. For example, in 2013, as an example, 25 universities applied for the ECTS label, and 15 of them were from Turkey. And so which means that that was 60% in the whole Europe. And which shows, I mean, how hard, in fact, Turkey is working, just to comply and go with the European standards in higher education. Well, we have Erasmus, and it's very active. In fact, I even have 2 students, at University of Murcia now, and they will come and see me after this talk. And we have another program called Mevlana program, and which is for the non-European countries. It's like similar to Erasmus, but for example, let's say Morocco and Turkey cannot have an agreement through Erasmus, but can have an agreement through what's called a Mevlana program. Turkey even has like a mobility program within the country, which is called Farabi program. And well, research opportunities, we're talking about 4 major resources, like the Scientific and Technological Council of Turkey, Turkish Academy of Sciences, and Minister of Science and Technology, and EU programs, of course. And when we look at opportunities and challenges, I'll just try to go over them very quickly. I don't know how much time I have. Almost finished. 1 minute. Okay, and well, Turkey is, doing quite well in terms of research, publishing articles. Like since 2006, the number has increased 50%. But the problem is that Turkey cannot change or turn this into technological output and inventions at the level of research. And in the past, only 1 out of 4 students could go to university after they finished high school, but now anybody can go to a university, and if they can't go to a state university, they can go to a private, like a foundation university, and pay and study. And of course, with 101 new universities in the last 10 years, Turkey needs 50,000 more teaching staff as of today. And yes, so Turkey needs more English medium programs to attract international students, and national qualifications framework has been developed and is imposed on universities along with the Bologna process, which I think really contributes to the development. And well, there's one major problem. It's a centralized system, and all universities, whether new, old, state, foundation, big, small, they're all governed with the same rules and regulations, which is one of the challenges and one of the problems. And there is a new legislation on the agenda for more freedom, flexibility, and decentralization at higher institutions for the last 10 years, but it is not there yet. Everybody talks about it, and but for example, we still have the same law which was put together after the 1980 military coup, and everybody's trying to change it, but no one has done it yet. This is what I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your nice talk, and I'm sure it's bring new ideas to discuss, and for some of the colleagues in the audience will reflect some of the problems that we already have also in Spain.